Happy Monday to everybody. Todd Thoughton here from Thoughton Physical Therapy. Excited to be here again for another great week. The reason why I started doing the Facebook Live is I wanted to add more value and have a bigger reach to my clients that I have been able to just seeing patients on a day-to-day basis. I am passionate about helping people. I am passionate about easing suffering for people. And again, I'm excited to add more value with any topic that we can address. So we came up with Ask the PT Live. And the idea of that is through different topics, through different conversations with the patients that I've had, different conversations with my staff, different conversations with friends or family, we've brought up topics that a lot of people have questions about. So the hot topic of the week that I'm really excited to talk about are headaches and migraines. First, I wanted to go over some basic anatomy like I do every week, just so everybody can be orientated as we're talking about different structures. So as we know that this is the spine, and the spine is made up of three different pieces. The cervical spine, which is made up of 7 vertebrae in your neck. Then we have the thoracic spine, which is in the green here. It's made up of 12 vertebrae. And then we have the lumbar spine, which is in the blue, which is made up of 5 vertebrae. The thoracic spine, to me, through my eyes, is a very important piece to anybody that has headaches or migraines or postural problems. The thoracic spine is supposed to be a piece that's mobile, meaning that it's supposed to get movement in the body. The neck and the low back are supposed to be stability pieces. They're supposed to stabilize the body so we can produce a force. Another piece that I wanted to orientate people to is called the nuchal line, which is basically right up here at the base of the skull where a lot of the muscles attach. So as we talk about as I start to talk about headaches and migraines, the next piece of anatomy that I wanted to talk about are the muscles that we'll be orientating ourselves to. I find the biggest piece that really is the biggest culprit to any headache that I'm going to go over. There's 6 different types of headaches, but any of the headaches is people's posture. Over the last few visits, you've heard me talk about the fuse box, which is a term that I've been working on for about the last 3 years. And the idea of the fuse box is we have your head and your brain, which is the computer system, and then we have the whole spinal cord and all the muscles attached to it. That would be considered the fuse box. So we need to turn on the muscles along the whole spine in order to generate strength all the way down to the arms, where when we have the fuse box, the biggest thing that we want to address is people's posture. And if someone's posture is, if we think of the body like an engineering structure, the head wants to be over the shoulders, head wants to be over the neck, which is in line with the shoulders, the ribs, and all the way down the body. Anytime that is out of position, that's when we're going to get a strain on the ligaments. We're also going to get a strain on the muscles. Now that leads me into the next part of the conversation. The different muscles. The first one we're going to talk about is the sternocleidomastoid. When we turn our head, it starts right over here from the sternum, and you see it comes right up over here to the base of the head. The job of, we have one on each side. The job of the sternocleidomastoid is it flexes your neck forward if we're using both at the same time, or if we're on our back, it helps to lift up your head a little bit. Also, what it does is it helps to turn your neck side to side. The next thing I was going to talk about is called a trigger point. And a trigger point is when a specific muscle, pretty much in the muscle belly part of the muscle, the meaty part of it, when we have a trigger point in the muscle, it's more like the muscle's in spasm, and it can be really tight. When we have a trigger point, it can send referred pain to other parts of the body. The sternocleidomastoid, if I was to find in the meaty part over here, and if I was to squeeze that or do a trigger point release, that can give us specific pain in the ear, give us specific pain in the chin, and on the forehead. That's the sternocleidomastoid. The next muscles I'm going to talk about are the scalene muscles, the muscles right over here on the side of the neck. The scalene muscles come down and they attach to the rib, and they also attach to some of the neck, some of the vertebrae on the cervical spine. One of the most important group of muscles are the suboccipital muscles. So if we feel right on the base of your neck. The suboccipital muscles come up your neck and they attach right to the base of your head. If we have pain or if we have a trigger point release or tightness in the suboccipital muscles, what we're going to find is that we can have eye pain, and we can have pain just above the ear line the whole way, all the way, so you can almost have pain right behind your eye, which is a very common symptom that a lot of people have. The next muscle I'm going to talk about is the levator scapula, and what that works is it comes from the corner of your shoulder blade. Your shoulder blade is your wing on your back. From your shoulder blade, it'll come up and attaches to your neck. The job of the levator scapula is to help with the motion of the scapula, and when the shoulder blade is fixed, it can help with some neck extension. The next big muscle that we're going to address is the upper trapezius. Everybody knows what the upper trapezius is. There's three different trapezius muscles. We have the upper trapezius, we have the middle trapezius, and then we have the lower trapezius. The upper trapezius muscle is responsible for helping to assist holding your head up and also helping holding your shoulders in place. A trigger point in the upper trapezius muscle will make a C when you can have pain all the way down here from your neck, all the way around the back of your head, or on the side, all the way around. You can have pain right into your forehead. Then we have the middle trapezius. The middle trapezius job is to squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then we have the lower trapezius, which attaches down towards the lower part of the thoracic spine. And the lower trapezius job is to help rotate the shoulder blade so the mechanics are good at the shoulder. The lower trapezius has also a very important piece. When we have a trigger point in the lower trapezius muscle, that can give you pain all the way up your spine, on the side of the spine, all the way up to the base of your neck. Then we have the pectoralis major, which their trigger points go down, where you can have some of these symptoms all the way down into your hand. The rhomboids are the muscles that help squeeze your shoulder blades together. The trigger point symptoms there are going to be right in between your shoulder blades. The last big one that I'm going to talk about is the masseter muscle. And the masseter muscle, it's one of the facial muscles responsible for chewing, and pound for pound, it's the strongest muscle in the body, judging by the size of it. The trigger point for the masseter muscle can give you pain. It's going to give you pain above the eye. It's going to give you pain in the cheek and the jawbone as well. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the types of headaches that we can experience. The first one is a cluster headache. Well, there's going to be a few of these headaches that we can help with physical therapy, and a few of them that are really not going to make a big change with physical therapy. The first one is a cluster headache. And a cluster headache is when we have irritation of one of the nerves on the side of the face. The symptoms would include you have pain on one side of the head. You might have some nasal discharge. It can be severe pain, and it kind of seems like a migraine, but doesn't last as long. But it can last for 2 weeks to 3 months. You can get pain around your eye, again, and on one side of your face. The treatment for a cluster headache is you'd want to go see a primary care physician, usually some medicine, breathing through an oxygen mask, but usually medicine is the one that helps out mostly with the cluster headaches. The next one is a migraine, which is very common for people. The cause of the migraine, there's usually some warning signs of this. It could be changes in hormonal changes, changes in certain foods or certain drinks that you might be having, in different stresses in life, or a change in exercise routine. The symptoms of a migraine include throbbing headaches in one area on the side of your head that can vary with intensity. You might get some nausea and sensitivity to light, and it can last anywhere from weeks to months. Whereas the location, it's usually, again, on one side of the head, and it's usually a throbbing or a pulsing. The treatment for a migraine headache is typically stress management, because we know the cause of it is usually nutrition or food or diet related, is to really hone in on getting some information, writing down what you're eating and what you're drinking, and see what triggers it. So you really want to document all your nutritional patterns that you've been going through and see if you can find a correlation there. Relaxation and meditation, yoga, is a great way to help with migraines. Where physical therapy can help with migraines, like I said at the start, the biggest thing that we can do as physical therapists for anyone that has any headaches it's usually due to a postural problem. Posture meaning slouching down. And I'll go into a little bit more detail later with that. Also with migraines, medication may be helpful as well. The third type of headache is called a TMJ headache. TMJ is temporomandibular joint dysfunction, and the TMJ is when we have jaw pain. The TMJ joint is when your mandible comes up and attaches up here to your skull, and usually that's from, if you had an injury to your teeth or injury to your jaw, a misalignment of teeth grinding, also due to poor posture, stress, and arthritis. The symptoms of that would include, of a TMJ headache, would include clicking in the jaw, unable to open and close the jaw. You might have pain up over here on your head, headache pain, and also pain around your ears. The treatment, we can definitely help people with TMJ pain in physical therapy. A lot of times we have to address some of the muscles, the masseter muscle, the frontalis muscle, and some of the muscles over here behind the cheekbone. And those muscles, we can do some soft tissue work. We actually do some work inside the mouth. But the big thing, again, is to work on people's posture. And anyone that I would work with, again, with a headache with physical therapy is, like I started the talk with, is I would work on the thoracic spine first to make sure that that's mobile, and then we would address the different neck issues or any weakness that we'd see in the neck. The next type of headache, number 4, is a sinus headache. I know a lot of people have had sinus headaches and they are not very comfortable at all. So there's many sinuses we have, but generally people have the sinus pain kind of just around the cheekbone or underneath their eyes. The causes of a sinus headache would be inflammation and infection in the nasal passages. Sometimes seasonal allergies can cause that. The common cold, inhaling something very unhealthy like smoke, or now we can see anybody that vapes, that can add to a lot of irritation, which can affect the sinuses. What are the common symptoms people may see with a sinus headache? Pain and pressure, fullness in the cheeks on both sides. It could be one side, but usually it's one. It can be both sides, but sometimes it is one. Worsening pain if you bend over, if you lie down, stuffy nose, fatigue, achiness, and even achy feeling across the upper teeth. Again, where's the location of the pain? Usually the cheekbones and above the eyes, anywhere in the sinuses as well. What would be a treatment for that? Nasal self-washing, like using a neti pot, something to lubricate the inside of the nasal passages. Physical therapy would also include a lot of postural exercises. Seeing a primary care physician is always a great idea to rule out a sinus infection, and some antibiotics if needed. The next type of headache is really common for a lot of people, and that is a tension headache or a stress headache. What are the causes of this? Pretty simple. Stress. People have too much stress at work or in their home life. Stress is a big, big culprit. Poor posture, again, is something that we're seeing a lot of with any type of headache. Posture is probably the number one thing that we can help people out with. Not getting enough sleep. And another way could be trying to stop caffeine, trying to stop drinking caffeine. What are the symptoms of a tension headache? Constant pain on both sides of the head, kind of feeling like it's around your temples and all the way around to the back of your neck. You might also feel like someone is squeezing the crown of your head. What is the treatment for a tension headache? Stress relief, yoga, anything like that, any type of meditation is a big thing just to help with balance in life. Drinking more water, very, very big piece. Having good nutrition, physical therapy for posture as well. Physical therapy would include addressing the thoracic spine, the mid-back, but also address working on the cervical stabilizers, turning on the fuse box for the neck. You could also try, again, more time for self-care. What does that mean? Going for a walk, being out in nature. Those are very, very important ones as well. You could try dry needling and acupuncture. The last one, number 6, is a neck headache, which is the most common by far. Cervogenic, which means coming from the neck. And the cause could be from, there are some muscles that we talked about, the suboccipital muscles from holding up your head can give us some of the symptoms, or even from a herniated disc up high in the cervical spine. What are the symptoms of a tension headache? Usually tightness around your forehead, mild to moderate neck pain, and pain behind your eyes. What is the treatment for someone that has a neck headache, which is the most common? Again, I would start with the thoracic spine mobility. I would work on the cervical spine, which is the neck, work on the mobility of the cervical spine, make sure all the structures are moving well. Postural stability and conditioning, overall exercise regimen, making sure that we're getting back on target with that. Some soft tissue work if we need to around the neck and the shoulder muscles, dry needling, and maybe even some acupuncture as well. Who typically gets a headache? Many people with, again, poor posture, high stress jobs, someone that has poor nutrition, someone that has poor hydration, someone that's really not getting enough sleep, someone that is not managing their balance of life very well. Jobs that we may notice that spend a lot of time sitting. Everyone nowadays seems to be on their phone, having their thumbs down, having their head down, looking down. Whether they're walking, whether they're at a desk, everyone, or even in bed, everyone having their head down all the time. That just puts a lot of strain on the back of the neck. People that may drive for a living because they're kind of in a hunched over at the steering wheel. People that have a desk job where they're in front of the computer for many, many hours during the day. People who also just don't have a really good exercise, a well-balanced exercise regimen, and people who can also work out with not the best form. What are the common symptoms that I see where physical therapy can help? Where they have tension and tightness to the base of the neck, tension and tightness to the back of the head, tension and tightness in the forehead, sometimes on the temple, behind the eyes, and tightness around their jaw. These are all symptoms of a headache that physical therapy can help with. So what are some subjective things, or what are things that patients might say that they might complain of when they come in for physical therapy? Again, they would have a headache at the base of their neck. They might have a headache across their forehead, behind their eyes, on the top of their head. And once we get a little bit deeper, they will admit that they have had poor nutrition and maybe not the best hydration. So what are objectively things that I would see as a physical therapist that I would really want to key in on? I know that someone that has a headache has poor posture. I'm going to see the mid-back, the thoracic spine that I've talked about so much is not going to be very mobile. I'm going to see that they have a lot of trigger points and muscles, and all the muscles coming up to the back of their head. I'm going to notice a lot of times that their shoulders are really elevated up a little bit forward. I'm going to see that they have tight pec muscles. Again, I'm going to see that these muscles, the epitraps, are over-engaged. Really, the only job of the epitrap is to hold your head up. I'm also going to see possibly that the shoulder range of motion is going to be limited because of the forward posture, and their upper back and shoulder blades are really, really weak. What are some other things? If someone has a headache, especially if they have a cluster headache or possibly a migraine headache, I would really suggest the first thing you want to do is reach out to your physician to make sure that the physician can rule out anything I'll call sinister, things that we would worry about to make sure that everything's okay. What are the common things that you would want to rule out from your primary care physician or your specialist to make sure that it wasn't anything more than just muscle related? Would be, number one, would probably be high blood pressure. You could also have dizziness or ringing in your ear or some vertigo. So the dizziness and headaches could be coming from an inner ear issue. It could also be coming from an ear infection. There could also be a suspicion of an internal bleed somewhere in your brain. So again, something really, really important that we want to take care of. Someone might even have stroke-like symptoms or a TIA, which is not as severe as a stroke, but there is a lack of blood flow or a lack of oxygen to a certain part of the brain.
You want to ask a question?
Great. So from a physical therapy standpoint, the most important thing that we're going to want to address is people's posture, like I started off the broadcast for tonight. Posture is the simplest thing. If you have a headache that we really need to get back to, we need to get back to the basics. Getting on a really good exercise regimen, going to see a physical therapist that's going to address your mid-back, that's also going to address your cervical spine, making sure that we're doing plenty of exercises, plenty of mobility first to make sure that we can attain the posture in a good upright position. And then from there, then we work on a strength and conditioning program to get your upper body and your posture muscles working really well. What exercises can I do to get rid of pain, of neck pain that causes headaches? Like I've said tonight, the first thing that I would really want to address from the beginning is I want to make sure that the upper back is mobile, the thoracic spine. Comes from about there, this is in your back, all the way down to about there. I want to make sure that that's a mobile piece. So exercises that I would do is I would actually foam roll, I would lie in the foam roll, and I would roll up and down on my mid-back. Your physical therapist could do some joint mobilization in your upper back. We want to make sure that, so that's for the mobility piece there. We can also do some foam rolling for the lat muscles, foam rolling for the pectoralis muscles, and we can also use an oar ball in your upper back to work the rhomboid muscles as well. Once we know that the thoracic spine is moving well, and once we know that the muscles are now engaged, the lat muscles are engaged, the pectoralis muscle is a little bit looser and not as tight, and the rhomboid muscles are working well, then we want to work on a lot of postural exercises, a lot of upper back exercises. But the most important piece, as I've been talking about the fuse box for many weeks now, is we really need the body to be in good position with any exercise that we're doing. So whenever we come to a position and your head is sticking forward like that, that's going to compromise the whole structure of your body, which could potentially turn or shut off the nerves, which could cause increased pain, because nerves do three things. They let us know if there's a pain response, the sensation response, numbness or tingling, and also enough juice to the muscles to work. So we need the body in good alignment. After the mobility, after we work the muscles, and then we go to the strengthening portion with the body in good alignment, mostly upper back work, scapular depression, scapula being your shoulder blade, and working on the anterior neck muscles, the deep neck flexors, because we do spend so much time with our head up, or we spend so much time with our head just relaxed forward. So there's a lot of strain on the neck muscles, and we've created an imbalance over time. So we have a few other questions here that I'm going to go over. The first one is, sometimes I have headaches from the base of my skull and up, and other times I have them around my eyes. Why is this? What should I be aware of? One of the first things that I would say, the tension headache and the neck headache that we talked about, the neck one being the most common, caused by muscles in your cervical spine. If we have pain in the suboccipital muscles, where all the muscles come from your neck and attach to the base of your spine, doing a trigger point release or doing even some manual traction, which we kind of release some tension on the neck, because the suboccipital muscles can give you pain behind your eye and also right on the side, almost like a direct line almost to your eye from the back of your head. I would also address the upper trapezius muscle, because the upper trapezius muscle, if there's a trigger point, can give you pain all the way like a C, all the way around to your eye as well. Again, the biggest thing is working on your posture, making sure you're not slumped over, making sure you have the really good workplace setup at work, making sure when you're in your car, you're in a really good posture position. And if you do have an exercise regimen, making sure you're in good position through your whole workout. A lot of times I'm finding when I go to the gym and I see people are doing weights that are too heavy for them. And things that I notice that they really kind of compromise is their form. When you have your head forward, it throws the engineering structure, meaning your whole body, out of position, which again changes the tension on the nerve, which again changes the strength output. So making sure that you have really, really good position through all your exercises, and you might need to drop down in weight to have really impeccable form. Thank you, it's a great question. Question number 2, my doctor told me that clenching my teeth can cause headaches. I wear a mouth guard at night, but I still clench during the day. Is there something I can do in PT to help this? There definitely is something you can do to help this. Again, great question. Thank you for the question. One of the headaches that I talked about was the TMJ headache. So it sounds like you might have some TMJ. You really did the right thing by going to your dentist to get a mouth guard, because we don't want to really be grinding the teeth, and that will help and ease some of the grinding as well. I would go see a physical therapist to have them work on your TMJ, because there's some muscles up over here on your head, as well as muscles in your jaw that open and close the jaw. I would check out to see if you had any clenching, if you have any mobility issues of your jaw. I would adjust the mobility issues of your jaw. I would also check on the tension and see if we need to do any soft tissue work. But again, the biggest focus I would work on is your posture. I would really make sure that your posture is in good alignment. That's going to be the long-term fix. Usually when someone has TMJ, it's taken a long time to get there, so it's usually going to take a little while for it to go away. There's no magic trick to help with that. Again, it's the long-term, it's a low trajectory distance horizon, meaning that slow but steady is really going to make the difference, because it should only be a 1 to 2% change to reach any goal in life, especially to work on your posture. So if we can make those small changes along with the mouth guard, that should really make a big difference. But yes, you can get the headaches caused from TMJ. I have scoliosis and prone to frequent migraines. I've always wondered, are the two related? I wouldn't say I'm not confident the two are related, but scoliosis is something, because we talked about some of the muscles that run up the whole length of your spine up to the base of your head. And for those of you who don't know what scoliosis is, it's a curvature of your spine. It's kind of like an S curve, or there can be a C curve, where there's supposed to be 3 natural curves in your body. But also, if you were to look at someone from behind, you can't really see the 3 natural curves, but what you can see from someone behind is you can see a curve sideways as well where someone has scoliosis. When someone has scoliosis, it's usually just due to an imbalance. It can be a leg length discrepancy, which has caused your hips to be off, which causes your spine to be off. It could just be a postural thing that the muscles have some imbalance in your low back, in your mid back. So we can get headaches from scoliosis being out of the right posture, but also migraines are usually a little bit different. Migraines are usually related to something that a lot of times nutrition, stress. They can also be related to, again, improper diet, improper nutrition, and a lot of stress. Posture is something that can cause migraines, but it's usually one of the other things first. It's a great question, thank you. I'm tired of taking medicine to relieve my head pain. What can I do instead? Obviously, we're here. I think physical therapy is a really good option for people for the reasons that we've talked about tonight. Posture, 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 posture. Most important thing that we can address. I would like to say that I would want to have medication as the last resort, because a lot of times people are treating the result of something. They're not actually treating what the cause is. So we really want to get to the cause. What I'm talking about here tonight is not flashy, but what I'm talking about is going to really make a difference. And over time, it took a while for someone to get postural problems or headaches or TMJ. The headaches just didn't turn on overnight. So it's likely that we would hope to get rid of them faster than you got them, but sometimes it can take a little bit of time. So I would say physical therapy is obviously a good thing. Acupuncture is great. A big thing I really think is yoga or some type of self-care, going for walks, taking time for yourself, trying to find a better balance of your stress life and things that you can actually do for yourself. Great question. Thank you very much. Next question. When I cough or I sneeze, I have a pain on my shoulder blade and sometimes down my arm. Does this have anything to do with my headache? The first thing I think of when someone coughs or sneezes and they have pain down in their arm, I'm thinking that you have a disc issue in your neck. I would probably go see a primary care to rule that out, and maybe even an orthopedic down the line if you're not getting anywhere. What happens when we cough or we sneeze, if there is a disc problem going on, it kind of sends a little bit of a pulse, more of a pulse. It causes it to bulge a little bit more, which you can push on the nerve, and we know nerves do 3 things again: pain response, sensation, and they give juice to the muscles to work. So if you cough or you sneeze, if you're developing symptoms down your hand, then that's something that I would really want to get checked out by your primary care physician. Again, this is something physical therapy can help you out with as well. So for everyone that tuned in tonight, I want to thank you again for tuning in tonight. I hope this was helpful. I hope this added value to anybody that has any questions about headaches, of the 6 different types of headaches we talked about, from cluster headaches to migraine headaches to TMJ headaches to sinus headaches to stress headaches into neck headaches. The biggest thing we talked about today was posture. Really focus on your posture and be diligent with it, because it doesn't take a lot to make those changes. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at todd@houghtonphysicaltherapy.com. And if anybody has any topics that they would like to see coming up, we have topics and we have a really good program laid out for the next few weeks, but I'm really open to taking suggestions because I'm here to serve you. I'm here to add whatever I can of value to you. So if there's something you want to learn about, something you have a question about for yourself or somebody else, please feel free to send us an email, either right to the website or to me directly, and I'll see if we can work it into the schedule. Again, thank you very much for tuning in. Hope everyone has a great night, and I'm excited again to see you guys next week. Next week's topic is going to be low back pain, one of my favorite things to talk about. Have a great night.